There's a line in the sand. Where will you stand?
Well, good morning, Hanok. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Looks like you're doing fine there too.
I may get, there's sometimes you ask forgiveness rather than permission. And I didn't ask permission this morning. So, I ask you, is this too subtle?
For me, it is.
Okay.
For most people, it wouldn't be. What can I say?
Anybody that, if you don't know, I'm in the Israel Guys studio, and I'll ask the Israel guys later if I can do this. But for
Yeah.
now, they weren't here. So, just by default, I figured I'd do this.
Works for me.
I know. Well, I'm on Harbor Cod, the Mount of Blessing this morning, and going to be heading up to Itamar. And I have no idea what the rest of that day may hold. Be going up. My plan is to go up to the Kinneret tomorrow, and then I fly out on Friday morning. But yeah, I don't know if you're probably keeping up with the news. It's funny, Hanok, when I'm in the States, I am more connected with the news of Israel than I am here.
Okay. So, assuming that I'm following the news is a
Hmm.
safe assumption.
Okay.
There's a lot of things going on, and I don't want to distract our listeners with internal Israeli domestic political judicial stuff.
Yeah, we'd be here all day.
Irrelevant. What strikes me the most in the last week is Witkoff, the American negotiator here, who said that he did not believe that Hamas was ideologically intractable. That's the term he used, which, I love using, like I'm thinking to myself, well, if I ever play the game of Scrabble again, I'll have new words that I can put in intractable,
Yeah.
and that you can make a deal with them. Well, for a guy who doesn't seem to walk back a lot, he's already walking back that statement and
Hmm.
saying that maybe he was misled. Hello? Hello? Knock, knock. Is anybody home?
I know. I was talking to some guys last night about this. We've been discussing all kinds of things as I've been going through the land, and it seems that Trump just kind of maybe got blindsided by this one. That this guy is totally clueless. If you have followed in any way the events since October 7th and don't understand that Hamas is going to lie about everything, you don't deserve the right to get out of bed in the morning, much less have an office.
It's interesting. Let's see. Yesterday was the 25th of March.
Hmm.
That means I've been back home in Israel for exactly 1 month.
Wow.
That's all it's been.
Mm.
And already I've got, I think it's 11 or 12 speaking dates set up for when I return in around mid-June. Haven't gotten the ticket yet, so I'm saying around mid-June. Um, and what's interesting is, as I'm already beginning to formulate what to speak about, teach about, present, one of the things that's really key to Americans is that Americans seem to think of what's going on college and university campuses as merely a pro-Hamas, anti-Israel, anti-Jew thing. It's not.
No.
It's really, I mean, you don't have to turn up the hearing aid to hear the death to America and
Hmm.
tear down the society. Same
Hmm.
thing's going on in Canada.
Hmm.
And it's amazing to me how it's flying by most people.
Yeah.
It's astounding. It's really astounding. Anyway, so I'm speaking of American policy. America is two things came out in the last week, and people aren't tying them in. So I'm going to hopefully try to do that
Right.
for you. The America has been attacking the Houthis in Yemen, and then Egypt said that they would take in about 500,000 Gazans temporarily in northern Sinai.
Hmm.
It's totally connected because the Houthis and firing missiles, preventing shipping from going through the Suez Canal, is costing Egypt hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hmm.
So, two events in the same region that seem unrelated are totally connected, absolutely connected.
I mean, that's so true of everything that's going on, not just
Yeah,
specifically here in the Middle East, but really all over the world, that everything is connected.
shockingly so,
Hmm.
shockingly so. And you know, the when people say to me, it may not be, it doesn't seem to be playing out the way that it was described in the Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible. You know, and I say, wait a minute. People who say that to me are the same people who get off at Ben Gurion Airport and say, I expected a walking stick, a pair of sandals,
A
and a
camel.
toga that I could wear. You know, as I go, you know, really, I mean, I remember one of the first hardcore Christian groups that I guided. Guy said to me, you know, I came to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. And like everyone's got these like, you know, expensive sunglasses on and they've got and I'm like, yeah, you know, it's a real society, guys. I mean, you know,
Hmm.
what can I tell you? Anyway, so I was in, as you know, Mike, because I had the pleasure of seeing you. I was in the Rova, the Jewish Quarter, on Sunday morning. And as I was leaving later in the day, I began seeing something I haven't seen in a long time. Groups of tourists.
Hmm.
Wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles. So I want to, you know, reassure everyone Israel is incredibly safe, as Mike can attest to. And we're looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, and with that, I've met with two of the hotels that we normally stay at, and have the green light from the two of them. So I'll be meeting with the third one tomorrow night, and we'll start making plans from there. I want to go to the just the thought, Hanok, of being in the land now for about 10 days, and what I have felt, what I have gathered from conversations.
Yeah,
One of
yeah,
the things
let's
that
hear.
I've been asking is, what is the overall view of people? How do people, um, how are they dealing with, how are they coping with what's going on right now?
Yeah.
And I had a meeting yesterday morning. I won't say where, but and I post things on video. I have a lot of video, but I'm in places that besides that. So if you're trying to put a name to this, don't please. But I called Kathy after I met with someone, and I said, I experienced something I never thought I would experience. One of the most upbeat people that I've ever met in my life was depressed. Just it seemed to be distraught, and it just affected me when I left there. And then I went up and spent some time with a mutual friend at one of the hotels, and the same thing happened again. And what I'm hearing also from people that are from the soldiers that I meet and those that are associated with is they're asking the question, why are we doing this? This whole thing, they spent the last year and a half or so in Gaza, in Lebanon, in and losing their friends, their fellow soldiers in those places. Now all of a sudden we have the Gaza pullout, of troops, and Hamas is now rebuilt, and the government said, okay, now it's time to go back in, and they're like, why are we doing this? What is the purpose? Because as I was talking with some folks last night, I was here, as you know, on 3 weeks prior to the Gush Katif, when the literally Jewish IDF soldiers are taking people out of their homes.
Yeah.
And those same people, those same soldiers that took people out of their homes by order of the Israel government at the time, their children are the ones that are back in Gaza fighting for this. So there is this attitude of what is the point of all of this?
Every goal that the Netanyahu government has set for this war, the destruction of Hamas,
Mm-hmm.
the removal of Hamas from power,
Mm-hmm.
the freeing of the hostages, we haven't reached a single goal.
No, in fact, I would say that that there has not really been much of an effort to even get toward the goal. It's about talking about the goal, but let's just sit here in the starting blocks and do nothing about actually running toward it.
It's 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 interesting to hear you talk about frustration, for me to express frustration, and it's not a personal frustration. It's not
No,
like the usual things that irritate me. This is let me count the list. This is an ongoing thing.
yeah,
Um, because and it all comes down to our government. Now, it is true. We had our hands tied together during the Biden administration.
yeah.
It was particularly bad because we had no plans. I remind our listeners, it took us weeks before we sent troops into Gaza after October 7th because we had no contingency plans. The IDF had no what if plans,
Mhm.
shockingly. And see, that's really hard for lovers of Israel around the world to realize that our intelligence services, our military, and our government failed us.
Mhm. Well, in the midst of that, I got an amazing ray of hope yesterday. I
And
went
then I
by,
have some hopes to share as well. So
okay,
keep
good.
going.
So I went by mutual friends at Tora Winery at Rekalim. So I left the horse farm yesterday morning. You have to go there. I know, you on a horse, probably not going to happen. Maybe they can talk you into petting one of them. Belle is a really great horse. He probably would not kick you for doing that. We'll find out. But
Maybe.
yeah, maybe. But it is an amazing place, and more report on that after I get back. So I went up to Tora Winery, and our mutual friend Verid and Erez Benzadon are the owners of that winery. And Verid was still in a meeting, so one of the girls came out and she said, "Yeah, I'm working on getting this new wine on the shelf. It's just going on the shelf and on the internet today, and it'll be the first time ever sold." And I'm like, "Tell me." And
Yeah.
so she says, "Yeah, it's a bottle of wine called Victory." I'm like, "What?" She said, "Yeah, we did a special bottling of a line called Victory." And I said, "And so it's never been sold?" She says, "No,
Not yet.
never been on the shelf." I said, "Bring it."
Yeah.
So I happen to have in my possession the first two bottles ever to be released of this wine called Victory.
Wonderful.
They're numbered bottles. There's only 200. And if people go to my video from yesterday in the description, I think it's info at tourawinery.com, but go to the description. They can order it. Now, let me tell you, the only way to order it is from Tora, which means it's going to be shipped by air, which means the wine is not cheap to begin with, but you're going to pay an exorbitant amount for shipping. But if you would like a bottle of Victory, now I'm talking to Vered about this, and she says she's having a difficult time selling the wine because it's in a special box, special packaging, which is blue and white. And the Jews in New York don't like the packaging because it's too pro-Israel. And the people that she's talked to about, they said, but Very, we don't have Victory yet. So we don't have Victory. So why are you releasing this bottle called Victory? She says, because that's what we're going forward to. So there is, in the midst of the frustration, Hanok, in the midst of the despair, in the midst of the questioning, there are those, and I have talked to a number of them that are saying, listen, we know that in the end, we will have victory. We just don't know what the cost is going to be, what the consequences are going to be between now and then, but we have to set our sights on the victory, which is at the end.
That's beautifully said. It's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. And with all that we can question that's been going on, uh, not just here in Israel, but around the world. And when I say around the world, I mean we're ranging from all of Europe to the US and Canada to, I mean, you name it. I see anti-Israel, anti-Jewish demonstrations in New Zealand. I mean, really,
Of all places.
yeah, there are like 11 Jews in all of New. Okay. But the thing is, with every crisis, there's opportunity. So here's the chance for lovers of Israel all around the world to recommit. Now, when I say recommit, it's not simply doing an electronic funds transfer. It's not simply, sending, shekels or dollars or euros. It's a sense of I'm going to study the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, with a renewed vigor.
Mm.
I'm going to work within my congregational group, whether it's an actual congregation or a virtual congregation.
Mhm.
I'm good, and just make a list of things that you yourself are committing to. If someone gives $10 of tzedakah a week, make it 12.
Mhm.
There's a way to do it. And what's interesting is tzedakah, or the way it's said mostly in America, tzedakah, tzedakah
So that's our southern version.
does not mean charity.
Mhm.
It means it's from the root of righteousness.
Mhm.
You're doing what's right. And what I want people to see is what they're doing is right, not just in other people's eyes, but what they're doing is right to themselves. When they sit and they speak to our Father in heaven, are they saying, count me in?
Mhm. Let me give you two examples of that. Number one was, of course, with Udi, and you and I told you about this, and this was put on a video that he has sat there in the midst of the Cardo being under construction. The only place, good morning, the only place that was, I'm going to have people coming in a lot now.
Yeah.
So the only place that was open in the Cardo was his store, his gallery, but there's no tourists there. Okay. And so he has this little desk out front, and he has his paintings, his all of his paint and everything, and he's sitting there day after day after day. And one day, not too long ago, his wife said to him, "Udi, why? Why do you go to the gallery?" She said, "You can paint here. You have everything here. You can paint right here. There's no tourists. You just sit here." He says, "That is my army post." He says, I must go to my army post. Now, yesterday, I sat as you know, with Menachem. Menachem and Tova, of blessed memory. They are the founders, builders, and owners of the Shal HaSharon Hotel in Ariel, Israel. Many people have been there. They're undergoing horrendous, things from various places. The government of Ariel wants them to pay 1.5 million shekels in taxes for a hotel that has had zero people stay there. Menachem said, why? We have nobody. They said, we don't care. He says, we don't have any, it's not a hotel. They said, you take all the furniture out of all the rooms and then we won't pay you, we won't charge you taxes. He's like, crazy, stupid government. Yeah, I know. So we're talking and he goes back, he starts taking me back down memory lane. And he said to me at the end, because his wife passed away in 2020, and that took a lot out of him. But he said to me yesterday, he says, Mike, people tell me, Menachem, why are you doing this? Why don't you just sell the hotel? You sell the hotel, you go, you sit on a beach somewhere, you enjoy the rest of your life. He turned 79 2 days ago, the day before I was there. He said, why are you here?
Wow.
Why are you working? Why are you trying to do this? He has metal in his body from a terrorist bombing. He has hard time walking. He says, let me tell you why. He says, I was born in Uzbekistan in 1946. My parents got on a boat and brought me to Israel, and I arrived in 1948. He says, and I know, and I want to read, I wrote down the quote, so I want to get it right. He said this. He said, I was born to protect the promise of God of holding and possessing this land. And the reason that I continue to work at this hotel is because the reason I was born is to protect what God has given to us. Recommit?
This is the time.
Yeah.
Is I mean, with all the horrors that have occurred on and since October 7th, I mean, this is the greatest opportunity an entire generation could ever have.
And I'm seeing that here in Israel. Yes, the people that I have talked with, there's a depression. There is a kind of a surreal attitude of questioning, what are we doing? Why? But in the end, when you get through that conversation, the other end of that conversation is, but we're here and we're not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's it.
you look, I'm sitting here in the office of Hayavel, in the offices of Hayavel. I'm sitting here where in Josh Waller's spot. Okay. I am sitting here where the Israel Guys is recorded. And talk about an example of tenacity. I was just with Tommy Waller last night with Josh and Nate. We sat around a campfire last night and told old stories of Hayavel. And to see what has happened here, against all odds, against every battle that you can imagine. And now in this day, they have senators, congressmen, dignitaries. Josh was telling me all the things that are going on up here, and I don't even know how that they're keeping it together in their own minds because of everything that's going on in this place. And it's all because back in 2004, sitting in a building not too far from me, a place you've been to, a place that, oh, wait a minute, Hanok Young had a bit of a vision there, I seem to remember. But Nir Levy said, Tommy says, tell me what's going on. And Nir said, Tommy, we've planted these vines. They're coming up to the time of harvest. I don't know what we're going to do. We don't have anybody to come and help. And Tommy said, I'll bring my family. And from that, what is going on this mountain with Hayavel is here, but it has been through fights. Everything in life worth doing, you're going to have to fight for. And Israel is a prime example of this is our example of for 3,500 years fighting for something. And that is what Menachem was talking about.
That story is so powerful, but there's an element that people will tend to gloss over. Nir Lavi planted he planted there was no there was no secondary plan. There was no plan B of how these were going to get
No,
harvested. But his job as he perceived
plant.
it was to plant it. And I mean, wow.
Orange Charlie. Hey, I'm here with one of the cowboys. I mean, a real live living cowboy that, the famous cowboys of Israel,
Yeah,
it's right here.
fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm out.
Fabulous.
Okay. I'm sorry. I cut in there.
No, no, no. It's so in the midst of true potential gloom and despair, there's tremendous rays of sunshine of optimism.
Yeah.
And again, it's an opportunity being held out to our friends and listeners. And again, I go back to, like people say, so what's your favorite quote? And they're expecting something from the Tanakh. And I say, is you is or is you ain't, my constituency.
That's right.
This
That's
is
right.
it's a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. Um, after you brought all that cold, rainy weather, with literally, and I got to tell you, because it's mida keneged mida. It's you do something and it happens to you. So that's what you accused me of. Barely a month ago, I brought snow across America.
I
I
know.
brought snow to Virginia. I
I
mean,
know.
really.
So this is just called payback.
Yeah, but now the weather is getting nice. Our clocks change.
Yeah. After I
So
leave.
sadly, we become an hour further from our friends around the world. And
And I
yeah,
gotta,
so
I gotta tell on you. So after Hunalt comes to the American neighborhood and brings snow with him everywhere he is, including South Carolina. Okay,
yeah,
if Hunalt had gone to Miami Beach, there would have been a snowstorm. All right, so he goes to
sure.
America in February and is like surprised that there is snow on the ground. Now I come in March to Israel and it's rainy and cold. And guess what? Hanok is lecturing me on checking the calendar.
Well, the thing
Guys,
is,
do you see what
yeah.
I have to live with? Do you
Well,
see what
well,
I've been given by Hashem to bear in life?
this is the thing that's so funny is I eliminated states, congregations that invited me. I didn't go because my perception was that the southern states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, etc., would be better weather. And I
Mhm.
was only partially right. Only partially right.
Mhm.
Anyway, so just a heads up to everybody, my schedule is filling up in the mid-June to mid-August-ish time frame.
Mhm.
If your congregation wants to hear what I'll be sharing,
There you go.
now's the time to let me know.
Yeah. And for those that are following us on YouTube and Vimeo and Rumble and Facebook and everything else that's going out there, we're getting a lot of good comments and
Yeah.
shares. And thank you guys all for that. I'll be posting a little bit more probably sometime today. I think today's going to be more picture day than it is video day. And then tomorrow I'll get back to some video. So, all right. I'm thinking that probably some of the Israel guys are showing up about now. So it might be a good thing for me to get out of their studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, man.
Mike, have a great one, man.
Yep.
Talk to
See
you
ya.
soon.